Got another bike video with the Trek Elance 400 from 1986 back here. If you're just jumping on board now, I've been doing a series of videos kind of highlighting or showcasing different bikes in my fleet. I'm keeping it to about 6 right now, and just wanted to kind of for myself highlight each one and what it sort of contributes to understanding what's worth doing in a bike. So I did a lot of digging around on the internet last night, and it became clear to me how many DIY chainstay dimpling tools there are in the world and how many people have gone through this process, say in the past 20 years, where you try to make a tool to increase the chainstay clearance or something in a bike after the fact, after it's been all welded together. But the good thing is I didn't know about a lot of these things. I just didn't do enough research. And the thing is, it's probably for the better, because one skill I wish I had is that of welding. And since I don't weld, I was looking for a technique that was accessible to me. And I think I found it. So this technique you're going to see isn't necessarily the best way to do it. It's just how I did it. And I thought it'd be great to share in case somebody else was in my shoes, doesn't weld, maybe has limited funds, but has pretty good access to some beater frames out there that they could practice on. A few years ago I did a dimpling modification, and I was able to get this 27 by 1.95 tire in, which is equivalent of a 650B by 48. And I like these bigger tires, and previously I was pretty happy with the 700 by 32s that were on here, but I found that there's sort of more to be gained by increasing tire volume by decreasing the rim size. And problem is the width of the tires. So I posted on Instagram like a method of using a vise and a rack strut, and while that was good, and then it's what I had, I moved from that house and I don't really carry my bench vise around with me. So I wanted to share the process, but I feel like I wanted to do it in a way that was more realistic. And since I didn't have a bench vise, I went out and grabbed one of these Irwin, I don't even know what they're called. It's like a basic vise. I'm sure I spent less than 20 bucks on it. Here's a rack strut, which is a different rack strut, but it's the same idea as the one I used in the Instagram post. And this is sort of a new piece that I had the whole while, but I didn't think to use it. But this is a Paragon Machine Works tube clamp for a 1-inch tube, and I realized I could use that by putting the chainstay in there, or wrapping it around the chainstay, putting the rack strut on one side, say like the inside, and then having the opposite form be on the outside and prevent the chainstay from getting crushed. It has a nice opposite round form, and this little rack strut would dimple itself into the tube, and then we would get our extra clearance. Alright, so I'm holding this with my finger just for fun. Drum roll. That form comes off. This rack strut is just nestled in there. And there's your dimple. The original tire size is 700 by 25, and in 1986 this was considered a sport touring bike. 725 was actually kind of a large size, like more of the comfort size. But if we were to see what was going to
transpire over the coming decades and realize how a common 650B would become, I think what this particular bike is about is it's sort of a reimagination of what we might have done with these frames from the 80s had we known that 650B was going to come back or was going to become kind of a mainstay. So these ones act really well, feel very much at home as a road bike, especially even as a city bike when you're kind of stopping and going. It required quite a bit of surgery. I had to dimple the fork, the chain stays, and the seat stays, actually a few times.
This Peugeot here is one of the frames that I think kind of best shows an example of a factory-made dimple. But I essentially copied or tried to recreate this shape. Here's my Trek, and I'll zoom in on the dimple that I did a few years ago. It's pretty much the same concept. There's a elongated dent, you know, on a tube. These marks here are from another attempt to see what you could do by sticking a bolt cutter in between the two stays and expanding it. But the majority of the work done here is from the exact concept of the what I just showed you, is sticking this form on there and clamping that into the inside of the chainstay. If you're going to try this, make sure that you know how to cold set your frame to the hub spacing you want, because as soon as you dimple your chainstays, it's going to change the spacing. So make sure you have someone who can do that for you, or know how to do it yourself. I've also made a link or a video a couple years ago where you can learn how to do that. I'm not recommending you do it because I don't know who you are, but it's possible.
This is usually not advised. No one's going to tell you to crush your chainstays that much and spread your frame up that much. Certainly Trek's not gonna. Certainly vintage purists are not going to.
Another thing that gave me confidence to go ahead and try to dimple my own frame was, well, for one, years of working as a mechanic and seeing people come in with bikes that really shouldn't have made it, like bikes with a rusted out hole in the chainstay from where the chain suck had happened over and over, or bikes with top tubes that had been crinkled by a thief who was trying to crowbar a lock off of it, or you know, a buckled and brittle down tube that you know, had happened when the bike got headered and it crinkled in the top tube and the down tube, and you could see the paint flaking and rust building. I've always been amazed at how people are fine. They come out unscathed, and with steel bikes, it's just such a resilient material that you're often given plenty of warning before it actually fails on you.
The beautiful thing about it is it just handles incredibly well. It's very capable. I can take it off-road. I'd say it's smoother than my 700 by 45 tire bike. There's potentially something to do with the Reynolds 531 tube set, but I really think it mostly comes down to this tire size. There's a lot of disc brake bikes available these days that have this tire size, and I think that's great. But one thing I think this bike does better than any of those bikes is maintains a lighter weight tube set. When this bike came out, it was sub 24 pounds with the 700C tires. I can't say that it's probably closer to 25, 26 pounds minus all the bags in this configuration, but I still think that's a fairly light bike, and just a little bit of material can make a big difference in how a bike feels. and I personally like the way this one feels. My wife has a Velo Orange Polyvalent, and while I think that one feels great, I think this one definitely holds its own and certainly costs a lot less.
This came out in 2018, and it kind of marked, to me anyway, like the tipping point where vintage bikes sort of went out of style, and this was sort of like a last hurrah to the horizontal top tube in a production frame. And this comes with disc brakes and 650B by 48 tires. At least that's what it's built around. And both my wife and I got these bikes around 2018, 2019, and fell in love with them. Mostly like what they were about, like blending old vintage aesthetic, even the 1-inch threaded steer tube with the quill stem, with the modern stuff like disc brake compatibility, internal cable routing, but retaining down tube shifters. I was just kind of fell in love with it. But what we realized pretty quickly was these bikes rode really weird without any front load, or they just handled better with a lot of weight on the front. And as I'm riding, I think it just was so apparent to me how nicely this bike rides fully loaded. It's like it just feels so steady and just sure. It doesn't it's so stiff, like it doesn't flex with all the weight. It's easy to toss the weight around, it's easy to turn. And then as soon as you try to use the bike as a standalone road bike or gravel bike, it just, I wish this bike did both. It did the touring thing, the front load thing, but it also just rode nicely unloaded. So that's what kind of prompted me to work on the Trek Lance 400. I had built them in the past with 650A or 26 1 3/8 tires, and but the widest you can go is like a 38 millimeter wide tire. So while it felt good, there's just something special about the extra volume of a 48 that just makes you feel at once pretty invincible when you're off on a trail, but also it allows you to ride the road and have your bike still kind of handle and respond in a road-worthy way. I got the tire size I wanted, the gearing with the micro ratchet shifters, good braking with Shimano SLR levers with it paired to the Tektro long reach brakes, and then just the versatility. I can ride this without bags, I can ride it with bags. It's not pretty, like the paint job's super beat. I can always get it powder coated any day I choose, but I like that I can kind of treat it as if it's a skateboard. When you go skateboarding, you don't like watch to make sure that your paint's not gonna chip. You just skate, just use it, enjoy it, and there's still a lot of beauty to be seen, even if the paint's missing here and there. So I like to get like a soda, like when I'm riding, like the cherry vanilla sodas, I think they're called lollipop sodas, I forget, but that's a good bag for a can. Anyway, that's enough about that bike. I hope you got a little bit of entertainment, if nothing else, from that. And let me know if you have any questions. Today we're going to show you something that teach everybody when they're at the Grand Canyon. Come on in. If you're out touring in the vistas like this in the Grand Canyon, you want to slam your stem on the way down. So loosen this thing up and slam it down. You're good to go.